Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming out today. I'm sorry that you have to come out today. It is day 47, and again, we're at zero. We're standing here on the Senate steps asking Senator Harry Reid to lead, take action. We need to make sure that we're funding our troops, that we're responsibly funding government. I took the liberty of doing some numbers, and estimated cost of a shutdown back in 1995 was $71 million a day. Right now we're looking at $176 million a day in costs. It's irresponsible to continue on this path to government shutdown. We're standing here saying we want responsible funding of government. We can do that. We can cut costs. This is not a lot to ask. The American people understand it. They're with us on this. We have a huge base of support in the House of Representatives. As you can see, that number continues to grow, and we're pleased to welcome the gentleman from Texas, Congressman Jeb Hensarling.
Thank you, Rick. Even though it's a beautiful day in the nation's capital, again, I am sorry that we all have to be here. Again, day 47, and absolutely no action right behind us to keep the government open. Not one single bill. The House Republicans have led. We have led with H.R. 1, a bill to keep the government open and to put America on a fiscal, sustainable path. We gave it to them again. Still no action at day 47. But one of my colleagues yesterday, I think, put it best, and that is House Republicans are working to keep the government open in order to spend less. Senate Democrats are trying to shut down the government in order to spend more. It's really quite that simple. They've had this many days to work to keep the government open. The least they can do when we have troops in harm's way, when we have brave men and women who are fighting our foreign enemies, is to at least make sure the troops get paid on time. So yet again, under the leadership of our Speaker, for the third time, we will have a bill that will fund the troops. This is specifically a troop funding bill. Every single day I have a constituent of mine ask me, Congressman, will the government shut down? And unfortunately, I only have one answer, and that is you're going to have to ask Harry Reid. For the sake of our troops, let's hope the answer is no.
Thank you. That's our conference chairman, Congressman Jeb Hensarling. We're pleased to be joined by Senator Jim DeMint from South Carolina. Senator.
Well, thank you. I'm just here to thank the House Republicans for leading. As we look in Washington right now, the president's AWOL on leadership. House Republicans sent us a funding bill for the government last month, and they're going to pass another one today, doing everything they can to be responsible. But if the president doesn't lead and the leader of the Senate, Harry Reid, doesn't lead, it makes it very difficult for the Republicans alone in the House to make things work. But what they're doing here in funding the military for the rest of the year is critically important to give some predictability and certainty to our troops and the planning that has to take place. Again, the president and the Democrat leadership here has been irresponsible, and there's no reason for this government to shut down. The only reason is the Democrats think they can win the PR battle here. And we need to make sure that Americans get the truth. And Americans got a lot more sense than Harry Reid gives them credit for, and they're going to figure this out. This is irresponsible government. The president has us on a pathway to bankruptcy as a country, and I'm very thankful for the House Republicans today, and I just wanted to come over and stand with them because I'm proud of what they've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I want to introduce the gentleman from Colorado, Cory Gardner.
Well, Senator, I didn't realize the air was that much different over here on the Senate side.
This is the dark side, I tell you.
But it must be different. From the Rocky Mountain state where we hear complaints at times about our high altitude and the thin air, well, there must be some thin air over here in the United States Senate because they have failed once again to get their job done. After wandering in the wilderness for more than 40 days, they have failed to get the job done. You know, this country is demanding some budgetary slim fast. And it's time that we put this nation's fiscal course on a diet. That's what the American people want. On November 2nd, 2010, they said, go do your job. Get this nation back on track. Do the right thing for the people. And what the people are right now demanding is that we fund our troops, that we cut spending, that we grow our economy. Yesterday, I had a chance to meet with a family from my district. They brought their kids, they brought the whole family. And their dad said, you know, we had an opportunity. We asked the kids if they wanted to go to Disneyland or Washington, D.C. And the kids chose Washington, D.C., although I doubt if they knew they were coming to Fantasyland here too. Because at this Fantasyland, the body behind us doesn't seem to know that we have troops on the line. They're putting their lives, time in and time again, on the line. And it's time we act and do the responsible thing. Ask Harry what he's going to do about our troops. Ask Harry what he's going to do about funding for our country. Ask Harry what he's going to do for our economy. Because right now all we hear is thin air.
Thank you, Cory. Pleased to introduce the gentleman from New Hampshire, Congressman Frank Guinta.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Senator, for being here. And thank you all for being here. This is day 47, and it is time for Senator Reid to act swiftly and to be responsible to the American people. Back in November, we heard a very loud and clear message. It was restore fiscal discipline, restore fiscal responsibility, reduce our debt and deficits, but get things done on behalf of the country. The House is acted, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and we're about to act again and send a piece of legislation that is responsible, that reduces spending, but that keeps the government running effectively and efficiently. And that's our goal. But we need a partner in the Senate. And Senator Reid is not being a partner. He is playing politics, and he's sending the wrong message to every hard-working American, to everyone who wants to see a brighter, better future. He's sending a message that the Senate will fail, that the Senate is going to fail our nation. And that's not what we're about. We are about a positive, proactive, and responsible budgeting plan that gets our fiscal house in order, that changes the trajectory of spending in this nation, just like every family has to do in America. We simply ask the Senate to lead like husbands and wives have led their own families. Nothing more, nothing less. But if he fails and this government shuts down, it's on him. It is on him and the Senate Democrats, and that would be a shame. And I thank my colleagues for standing so strongly with the country and with the future of our nation.
Thank you, Frank. I want to thank all the members that have been so steadfast in their support of our efforts here, and I want to acknowledge from Indiana, Congressman Mike Pence.
Thank you. I want to thank the gentleman for Arkansas for his courageous leadership and the leadership demonstrated particularly by all the new members here. And it's an honor to stand with those that I've stood with in these battles over the years as well. We are now less than 37 hours from a choice. The American people have a choice to make. Do they want to continue this era of runaway federal spending that happened under both political parties? Do they want to continue the era of borrowing and spending and bailouts and takeovers? Do they want to continue an era where the Treasury and the budget fails to respect the broad mainstream values of the majority of the American people? Or do we want to stop and turn and begin to take our country back in the direction of fiscal responsibility, respect for the Treasury, and respect for values? That's the choice that we face less than 37 hours from now. The truth is the American people have already made their choice. Last fall, on Election Day, in a deafening message, the American people sent a new majority to that chamber. They said they wanted to end the borrowing, the spending, the bailouts, and the takeovers. They wanted a government as good as our people. They wanted a Treasury and a budget that respected our values. Now, Senator Harry Reid on the House floor this morning said that this is about ideology. But let's be clear on this point. Senate Democrats are threatening to shut down the government because they oppose a 2% cut in the federal budget this year. Let's be clear on this point. Liberals in the Senate are threatening to shut down the government because they want to continue to borrow money from China to underwrite the largest abortion provider in America. Harry Reid may be right about what's driving liberals in the Senate. What's driving these Republicans, what drove the American people to send a new majority to Washington, D.C., is a fundamental desire to steer our national government back to fiscal responsibility and reform. Today on the floor of the House of Representatives, House Republicans will say the troops come first.
we'll take our troops out of harm's way in this fiscal battle. We must not let fiscal battles in Washington, D.C. threaten the support for those that are fighting the real battles. I urge my colleagues in the Senate, drop your ideological fights, heed the voice of the American people, support us as we support the troops, and join us in the modest budget reforms that we have sent to the Senate floor.
Thank you, Congressman Pence. As he said, in just minutes, we're going to go over and cast a vote to support our troops and responsibly fund our government. Before we do that, we want to give you an opportunity for a quick round of Q&A. I'm going to defer to my colleague, the gentleman from Texas, Congressman Canseco.
Thank you.
Question and answer.
Yeah, question. We're running really low on time to get anything through, even if there is an agreement. Just in terms of the 3-day rule, getting something through the Senate, would you support a few days of a clean CR in order to work out all the paperwork?
Let me tell you, right now what we're working on is to protect our troops that are out in the field, that are defending our country and our liberty.
Leader Reid has said that bill's a non-starter in the Senate and it probably won't get brought up.
We are going to be going into the House in order to pass a bill that's going to protect our troops that are out in the field and are defending our country and that are right now in harm's way. In the event, and I'm not here to say that I'm fighting very hard to avert any kind of a shutdown, but in the event that the Senate forces this nation into a shutdown, we want to protect our troops.
Further questions? If not, we'll adjourn to our chamber there so we can cast a vote to support the troops and responsibly fund our government, and we'll be available for follow-up immediately following that vote. Thank you for being here.